Admiral Kestar stood on the bridge of his massive warship. Through the clear walls, he could see the blue and green planet below. Earth looked so small and peaceful from up here. It was hard to believe that this tiny world held billions of the creatures called humans. "All ships are in position, Admiral," said his second-in-command, Commander Vexaha. Her voice was calm and sure. This was going to be easy. Kestar nodded slowly. The Zephyrian Collective had been watching these humans for many years. They were a young species. Their technology was simple. Their weapons were weak. They still used chemical rockets to reach their own moon. It would be like taking candy from a child. "Begin the attack," he ordered. The first wave hit Earth's major cities without warning. Bright beams of energy fell from the sky like lightning. New York vanished in a flash of white light. London disappeared next, then Tokyo, Moscow, and Beijing. The humans had no idea what was happening. Their primitive radar systems could not even see the collective ships not in the command center under Geneva. General Sarah Chun watched the reports come in. City after city was going dark. The screens showed nothing but static where millions of people used to live. Her hands shook as she gripped the edge of the metal table. "Ma'am, we're getting reports from all over," said Lieutenant Torres, his voice breaking. "The attacks are happening everywhere at once. We've lost contact with most of our military bases." Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, they were hard as steel. "What about our nuclear weapons?" "Nothing, ma'am. Every time we try to launch, the missiles just shut down. It's like something is turning off all our electronics." Up in space, Commander Vexaha smiled as she watched her quantum disruption weapons do their work. The devices sent out invisible waves that made human technology stop working. Cars died on the highways. Planes fell from the sky. Even simple radios went silent. In just 2 hours, humanity had been pushed back to the Stone Age. But the collective was not done yet. The second wave was different. Instead of energy beams, they dropped small silver containers over the remaining human cities. The containers broke open in the air and released a strange green mist. Dr. Marcus Webb was in his laboratory at MIT when the mist reached Boston. He watched through his window as the green cloud rolled down the street like fog. People who breathed it started coughing blood. Then they fell down and did not get up. Marcus grabbed his emergency radio, but it was dead like everything else. He ran to his emergency supplies and put on a gas mask. Through the window, he could see bodies lying in the streets. The aliens had made a weapon that only killed humans. The third wave never came. The collective did not need it. In less than 3 days, most of Earth's governments had sent surrender messages using old telegraph equipment and emergency radios that somehow still worked. The aliens wanted them to surrender, so they had left some communication systems running. President Martinez spoke from a bunker under Washington, D.C. His voice shook as he read the surrender speech on international radio. "The United States of America surrenders to the Zephyrian Collective. We ask for mercy for our people." One by one, other world leaders did the same. Russia surrendered. China surrendered. The European Union surrendered. In just 72 hours, the human race had given up. Admiral Kestar was pleased. The plan had worked perfectly. The humans were broken. Their cities were destroyed, but the planet was still good for harvesting resources. The few humans who were left alive could work as slaves. It was exactly what the Collective Council had wanted, but in the ruins of Geneva, something was wrong. General Sarah Chun stood in what was left of the underground command center. Half the ceiling had fallen in during the attack. Water dripped from broken pipes. Most of her staff was dead or missing. But she was still there, and she was still fighting. "Ma'am," said Sergeant Rodriguez, one of the few soldiers still with her. The President has ordered all military units to surrender. We're supposed to lay down our weapons. Sarah looked at him with fire in her eyes. I don't take orders from a man hiding in a bunker while his people die. She walked over to the one working radio they had left. It was an old emergency system that ran on batteries. The alien weapons had not destroyed it completely. This is General Sarah Chun to all remaining military units, she said into the microphone. I do not recognize any surrender order. The fight is not over. Repeat, the fight is not over. Across the world, in hidden bunkers and ruined military bases, soldiers heard her message. Some turned off their radios and gave up, but others listened. In the mountains of Colorado, Captain Morrison gathered his surviving rangers. In the deserts of Australia, Major Thompson rallied her Special Forces team. In the forests of Canada, dozens of small groups decided to keep fighting. Sarah continued her broadcast. These aliens think they have won because they destroyed our cities and killed our people. They think we will just lie down and die, but they made one big mistake. She paused and looked around at the broken command center, at the water dripping from the ceiling, at the bodies of her friends under the fallen concrete. They left us alive. Admiral Kestar did not know about Sarah's broadcast. He was busy planning the next phase of the invasion. Landing ships would bring collective troops to Earth. They would set up mining operations. The surviving humans would be put to work in labor camps. It would take maybe 6 months to get everything organized. He looked down at Earth again. The planet looked quiet now, dark. Most of the lights were gone. The humans had learned their place. Commander Vexaha, he said, prepare the landing forces. Send them to the major population centers first. We need to round up the survivors and get them organized. Yes, Admiral. How should we treat the humans who resist? Kestar waved his hand like he was brushing away a fly. Kill them. But save the useful ones. We need workers, not warriors. Neither of them knew that in caves and forests and hidden bunkers all over Earth, humans were already working. They were taking apart the pieces of alien technology that had fallen from the sky. They were studying the green mist and learning how it worked. They were planning. Dr. Marcus Webb had made it out of Boston alive. He found other scientists hiding in an old subway tunnel. Together, they looked at samples of the alien bioweapon under microscopes they had built from broken pieces. Look at this, said Dr. Kim, pointing at the screen. The weapon targets human DNA, but it's not perfect. Some people have natural immunity. Marcus nodded. And if some people can survive it, then maybe we can all learn to survive it. In the ruins of Geneva, Sarah Chun was making plans too. She had contacted 47 resistance cells around the world. They were small groups, but they were angry. And angry humans could be very dangerous. She looked at the alien ship that hung in the sky above the city like a dark star. Soon, the aliens would send soldiers down to Earth. They would expect to find broken humans ready to be slaves. Instead, they would find something else. Something the Zephyrian Collective had never seen before. They would find humans who had nothing left to lose. 6 months had passed since the collective ships first appeared in Earth's sky. Admiral Kestar stood in his command room, reading reports that made no sense to him. Something was wrong with this planet. The humans are acting strange, said Commander Vexaha. She held a tablet with data from their ground forces. They should be working in the labor camps by now. Instead, they keep disappearing. Kestar looked at the numbers. Every week, they lost more human workers. Not to death or sickness, but to escape. The humans would be there one day and gone the next. The collective soldiers could not understand how they were vanishing so easily. Maybe they are just hiding in the ruins, he said. Send more patrols to find them. But Vexa shook her head. It's not just that, Admiral. The humans are doing something else. They are taking our equipment. This was the part that worried her most. Whenever a collective soldier died or a piece of equipment broke, the humans would steal it. At first, the collective thought they were just looking for food or useful metal. But now they were starting to see a pattern, deep underground, in a network of caves beneath the Rocky Mountains. Dr. Marcus Webb worked by the light of LED lamps powered by human-made generators. Around him, dozens of other scientists and engineers, bent over workbenches covered with alien technology. "Hand me that quantum disruptor," Marcus said to his assistant, Dr. Kim. She passed him a small silver device they had taken from a damaged collective. Patrol ship Marcus had been studying alien technology for 6 months now. At first, it seemed impossible to understand. The aliens used science that was hundreds of years ahead of human knowledge. But humans had one thing the aliens did not expect. They learned fast. "Look at this," said Dr. Patel from across the room. He was holding up a piece of alien armor. "I think I figured out how their personal shields work." The humans had discovered that collective soldiers wore special suits that could stop bullets and energy weapons. But when Dr. Patel took one apart, he found something interesting. The shield system was designed to stop known weapons. It had never been tested against anything new. "What if we change the frequency of our energy weapons?" Dr. Patel suggested. "Make them work in a way the shields don't expect?" Marcus smiled. It was a good idea. The aliens had made their technology to fight other aliens. They had never thought about fighting humans who would break all the rules in another part of the cave system. General Sarah Chun was planning something much more dangerous. She stood in front of a map covered with red pins. Each pin marked a sea, place where the resistance had won a small victory against the collective. "We hit the supply convoy here yesterday," reported Captain Morrison. He pointed to a spot on the map. "Got away with enough food to feed 300 people for a month." "Good," Sarah said. "What about the weapons?" "We took 6 of their energy rifles and 2 of those portable shield generators. Dr. Webb's people are already working on them." Sarah nodded. The resistance had learned to fight smart, not hard. They could not beat the aliens in a straight fight, so they did not try. Instead, they hit small targets and ran away. Every attack taught them something new about alien technology. But the most important thing they had learned was about the bioweapon. Sergeant Rodriguez entered the room carrying a small metal box. Inside the box were vials of green liquid, samples of the alien weapon that had killed so many humans on the first day. "Ma'am," he said, "Dr. Kim says she has good news about the poison." Sarah followed him to the medical section of the caves. Dr. Kim was waiting with a microscope and several test tubes. "General," Dr. Kim said, "we've made a breakthrough. The bioweapon attacks human DNA, but it has a weakness." She showed Sarah a slide under the microscope. The weapon was designed to kill humans quickly, but it's not very good at adapting. If a human survives the first exposure, their body learns to fight it. "You mean we can become immune?" "Better than that," Dr. Kim smiled. "We can modify it. Turn it into a weapon that only kills aliens." This was the news Sarah had been hoping for. The humans were not just surviving the alien attack, they were learning from it. And what they learned, they could use up in space. Admiral Kestar was getting reports that made him angry. 3 more patrol ships had been attacked this week. The humans were using weapons that should not exist. Energy rifles that could cut through collective armor. Explosives that could destroy their vehicles. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "These humans were supposed to be primitive." Commander Vexa looked worried. "Our intelligence was wrong, Admiral. The humans adapt much faster than we expected. Every time we use a new weapon, they figure out how to copy it or defend against it. Then we need to change our tactics," Kestar said. "Send down the pacification forces. If the humans want to fight, We will show them what real war looks like. The pacification forces were the collective's elite soldiers. They had conquered dozens of worlds. Their job was to crush resistance movements and make examples of anyone who fought back. Each soldier wore advanced armor and carried weapons that could level city blocks. When the transport ships landed near the remains of Denver, the humans were ready. Captain Morrison watched through binoculars as the alien soldiers marched out. Of their ships, there were 500 of them, all heavily armed. They moved in perfect formation toward the mountains where they thought the human resistance was hiding. "Let them come," Morrison whispered into his radio. "All teams wait for my signal." The aliens had expected to find humans hiding in caves with primitive weapons. Instead, they walked into a carefully planned trap. The first explosion came from under their feet. Dr. Webb's team had built bombs using alien energy cells and human mining explosives. The devices were buried along the path the aliens would take. When the smoke cleared, 50 alien soldiers were dead and many more were wounded. But the humans were just getting started. From hidden positions in the rocks, the resistance fighters opened fire with modified alien weapons. Energy beams cut through the alien formation like knives through paper. The collective soldiers tried to return fire, but their enemies were already moving to new positions. "Now!" Morrison shouted. The second wave of the attack was the most shocking. Human soldiers ran out from behind cover, but they were not carrying weapons. Instead, they threw small glass containers at the aliens. The containers broke and released a green mist. It was the bioweapon, but Dr. Kim had changed it. Now it only attacked alien DNA. The collective soldiers started choking and falling down. Their advanced armor could not protect them from a weapon that attacked their bodies from the inside. In 10 minutes, the entire pacification force was dead or dying. Admiral Kestar could not believe the reports from the ground. 500 elite soldiers, all dead? How is this possible? The humans used our own bioweapon against us. Vexaha sighed. Her voice was shaking. They somehow modified it to kill our people instead of theirs. Kestar stared at the data screen. This was not supposed to happen. The humans were supposed to be slaves by now. Instead, they were becoming more dangerous every day. But the worst news was still coming. "Admiral," said the communications officer, "we're getting reports from the other human settlements. They're all doing the same thing. Learning from our technology, copying our weapons, turning our own tools against us." Across Earth, the pattern was the same. In the ruins of London, human engineers were building energy weapons in hidden factories. In the forests of Brazil, resistance fighters were using alien medical technology to heal their wounded faster than ever before. In the deserts of Africa, humans were modifying alien vehicles to work with human equipment. But they were changing in other ways too. Dr. Kim's medical research had gone beyond just fighting the bioweapon. She had discovered that the alien technology could be used to make humans stronger, faster, and smarter. "General," she reported to Sarah, "we can do more than just defend against their weapons. We can use their medical technology to improve ourselves." Sarah looked at the test results. Humans who had been treated with modified alien medicine could run faster than Olympic athletes. They could lift twice their body weight. Most importantly, they could think and react much faster than normal humans. "How many people can we treat?" Sarah asked. "Right now, maybe 50. But if we can get more alien medical equipment, ... Sarah smiled grimly. "Don't worry about that. We'll get you all the equipment you need." The resistance was growing stronger every day. More humans were joining the fight. More alien technology was being captured and studied. And now they had a way to make super soldiers who could fight the aliens on equal terms. Admiral Kestar realized too late what was happening. The collective had not conquered Earth. They had given the humans a reason to evolve. And evolution, once it started, was very hard to stop. 1 year after the invasion began, Admiral Kestar no longer felt safe on his own ship. The humans had done something impossible. They had gone from a defeated species to a nightmare that haunted his dreams. "Show me the casualty reports again," he ordered Commander Vexaha. She handed him the tablet with shaking hands. In the past 3 months, the collective had lost over 2,000 soldiers. More than half their ground equipment was destroyed or missing. Worst of all, they had lost 3 entire warships. "How does a primitive species destroy our starships?" Kestar asked. He had asked this question many times, but still could not understand the answer. "They board them, Admiral," Vexaha said quietly. "Small teams of humans get inside our ships somehow. Then they kill everyone and take control." This was the part that scared the collective the most. Their ships were supposed to be impossible for humans to enter. The hulls were too strong. The security systems were too advanced. Yet somehow, humans kept getting inside. The truth was happening right now. 3 decks below them, Lieutenant Sarah Martinez moved through the ventilation system of the collective battleship like a ghost. She was one of Dr. Kim's enhanced humans. Faster, stronger, and smarter than any normal person could be. The alien technology had changed her body in ways that even she did not fully understand. Her mission was simple: steal the ship's quantum core and escape. But getting to the core meant going through 500 alien soldiers. That would have been impossible for a normal human. But Sarah was not normal anymore. She dropped down from the ceiling into a corridor full of collective guards. Before they could even raise their weapons, she was among them. Her enhanced reflexes made her move like lightning. Her improved strength let her crush alien bones with her bare hands. In 15 seconds, 10 guards were dead. Sarah picked up one of their energy rifles and continued down the corridor. The weapon felt light in her enhanced grip. More guards came. Running toward the sound of fighting, Sarah smiled. The aliens thought in straight lines. They expected enemies to fight like they did, following rules and tactics that made sense. Humans had stopped following rules. Sarah threw the energy rifle at the first guard, crushing his skull. Then she grabbed 2 grenades from her belt and threw them down the corridor. The explosions killed 5 more aliens. While they were still confused by the blast, she ran straight at them. The aliens fired their weapons, but Sarah was no longer where she had been. She moved in ways that the alien computers could not predict. Their targeting systems were designed to fight other aliens who moved in logical patterns. Humans who had been enhanced with alien technology did not move logically. They moved like predators. 20 minutes later, Sarah reached the ship's core room. The massive quantum generator hummed with power. It was the size of a small building and protected by the ship's best security systems. Sarah pulled out a device that Dr. Webb had built. It looked like a normal human tablet computer, but inside it was alien technology that had been completely redesigned. When she plugged it into the ship's computer system, it did not try to break the alien codes. Instead, it made the alien computer think it was getting orders from Admiral Kestar himself. "Security override accepted," the ship's computer said in the alien language that Sarah had learned to understand. "Quantum core shutdown initiated." Sarah smiled as the ship's lights began to dim. In 5 minutes, this battleship would be completely powerless. The humans waiting outside in stolen alien fighters would board the ship and take everything useful. But the best part was still coming. Up on the bridge, Admiral Kestar felt his ship shudder as the power died. Emergency lights came on, but most of the ship's systems went dark. "What is happening?" he shouted. "Someone has shut down the quantum core," reported the chief engineer. "It's impossible," No one can access that system except you, Admiral. Kestar knew better. The humans had shown they could do impossible things. Security teams to the core room. Now, but when his soldiers reached the core room, they found something that made their blood run cold. Every guard was dead. The quantum core was gone, all 5 tons of it, somehow carried away without leaving any trace of how dot and written on the wall in alien blood were. Human words. Thank you for the gift. This was happening all across the galaxy. Human strike teams were hitting collective ships and bases with surgical precision. They took what they wanted and left death behind. Each attack was more sophisticated than the last. General Sarah Chun stood in what used to be a secret cave and was now a massive underground factory. Hundreds of humans worked at assembly lines, building weapons that mixed human creativity with alien technology. Show me the new rifles, she said to Dr. Webb. Marcus handed her a weapon that looked like no gun ever made. It had alien energy systems, but they were controlled by human computers. The result was a weapon that could punch through any known armor. The aliens can't defend against it, Marcus explained. Their shields are programmed to stop their own weapons. This works completely differently. What about the ships? Marcus smiled and led her to a huge chamber where humans were building something incredible. It looked like a collective warship, but it had been redesigned by human engineers. Extra weapons, better armor, faster engines. We took 3 alien ships apart and used the parts to build this, Marcus said. It has all their advantages and none of their weaknesses. Sarah nodded. The humans were not just copying alien technology anymore. They were improving it. But the most important changes were happening to the humans themselves. Dot in the medical section. Dr. Kim was working with volunteers who wanted to be enhanced. The process used alien biotechnology, but it was controlled by human doctors who understood things the aliens never thought about. The next group will be even better, Dr. Kim told Sarah. Stronger, faster, smarter. And more importantly, they'll be completely immune to all alien weapons. Sarah looked at the volunteers. They were soldiers from around the world who had given up their normal human bodies to become something new, something designed for war. How many can you enhance each month? Right now, about 100. But as we get more alien medical equipment, we can do more. Sarah did the math in her head. In 1 year, they could have over 1,000 enhanced soldiers. In 2 years, 10,000. Each one would be worth 100 normal soldiers in battle. Aliens had no idea what was coming. Admiral Kestar was starting to understand, though. The reports from the front lines were getting worse every week. Human soldiers who could not be killed. Human weapons that cut through the best collective armor. Human tactics that made no sense, but somehow always worked. We need to retreat, Commander Vexa said during their daily briefing. Pull back all our forces and ask the Council for reinforcements. Retreat? Kestar could not believe what he was hearing. From a species that was using chemical rockets 1 year ago? Admiral, they're not the same species anymore, Vexa sighed. Look at the battle recordings. She showed him video from their latest defeat. Human soldiers moved like they were dancing instead of fighting. They dodged energy blasts that should have been impossible to avoid. They lifted pieces of wreckage that should have been too heavy for any biological creature. But the worst part was their eyes. In all the recordings, when humans looked directly at the camera, their eyes held something that chilled Kestar's blood. Not fear or anger, but cold calculation. They looked at collective soldiers the way a scientist might look at an interesting bug. They're hunting us, Vexa whispered. We came here to conquer them, but now they're hunting us for sport. This was true. The enhanced humans had discovered that they enjoyed fighting aliens. Not because they were angry, but because it was challenging. The aliens had become a problem to solve, and humans were very good at solving problems. Captain, Morrison led a team of enhanced soldiers through the ruins of Chicago. They were tracking a group of alien scouts who thought they were hidden. "Contact in 30 seconds," whispered Sergeant Rodriguez through their mental communication system. The enhanced humans could share thoughts directly, making them coordinate, like a single organism. "Remember," Morrison fought back, "we need prisoners. Dr. Webb wants to study their new armor." The alien scouts never knew what hit them. The humans moved through the rubble like ghosts, appearing exactly where they needed to be. 3 aliens were dead before they could raise their weapons. 2 more were unconscious and ready for capture. Whole fight took less than 10 seconds, but Morrison's team was not done. They had detected another alien patrol 6 blocks away. Time for more hunting. The enhanced humans ran through the destroyed city faster than any vehicle. They jumped over buildings and moved through walls like they were made of paper. Behind them, they left a trail of dead aliens and stolen equipment. Admiral Castar read the report of Morrison's raid with growing horror. 15 alien soldiers dead, all their equipment stolen. 2 prisoners taken. And the human team had suffered no casualties at all. This was becoming the pattern everywhere. Humans would appear like demons, kill everything in sight, take what they wanted, and vanish. The collective's superior numbers meant nothing when their enemies could strike anywhere and disappear. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we're getting a message from Earth." "Put it through." 2 years after the invasion, the Zephyrian Collective Council met in emergency session on their homeworld of Zephyr Prime. 12 of the most powerful beings in the galaxy sat around a crystal table, and for the first time in 1,000 years, they were afraid. Council leader Vex and looked at the reports spread before him. The numbers made no sense. "Tell me again how many ships we have lost." 347 warships, replied Council member Isara, "plus all our ground forces on 7 different worlds." 7 worlds? Dexon could barely speak. "The humans have attacked 7 of our worlds?" "Not attacked, Isara." "Corrected. Conquered. They now control 7 star systems that used to belong to us. This should have been impossible. 2 years ago, the humans could barely reach their own moon. Now they were flying between stars and ships that were somehow better than anything the collective had ever built. The worst part was how fast it had happened. On Earth, General Sarah Chun walked through the massive orbital shipyard that humans had built above their planet. Through the clear walls, she could see dozens of warships under construction. Each one was bigger and more powerful than the ships that had first attacked Earth. "Production is ahead of schedule," reported Admiral Torres, who had once been a simple lieutenant. The alien technology had enhanced his mind as well as his body, making him one of the best military strategists in human history. "How many ships this month?" Sarah asked. 57 completed. Another 100 will be ready next month." Sarah nodded. The humans had learned to build ships faster than the aliens could destroy them. More importantly, they had learned to build them better. Dr. Webb approached from the research section of the station. His body showed the changes that came from working with alien technology for 2 years. He was taller, stronger, and his eyes glowed with silver light. "General, we finished the new weapon system," he reported. "The quantum destabilizer is ready for testing." Sarah smiled. The quantum destabilizer was a weapon that could tear apart matter at the atomic level. It was based on alien science, but built with human improvements that made it 10 times more powerful than anything the collective had. "Test it on the captured ship," she ordered. They walked to the testing chamber, where a collective battleship hung in space. It was one of their newest designs, supposedly impossible to destroy. Dr. Webb activated the quantum destabilizer. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the alien ship simply disappeared, not exploded, not torn apart. but completely erased from existence. "Excellent," Sarah said. "How many can we build?" "We can mount them on all our new ships." And General Dr. Webb paused. "We've also figured out how to make them portable." This was the news Sarah had been waiting for. Portable quantum destabilizers meant that enhanced human soldiers could carry weapons that could destroy entire alien armies. But the humans were not just building better weapons. They were building better humans. In the enhancement facilities deep under the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Kim worked with volunteers who wanted to become something more than human. The process had been perfected over 2 years of research and testing. "The new enhancement process is completely safe," she explained to a group of new volunteers. "You'll be stronger, faster, smarter, and nearly impossible to kill. But more importantly, you'll be connected to the network." The network was the humans' greatest achievement. All enhanced humans could share thoughts, memories, and knowledge instantly. It made them work together like parts of a single massive brain. Captain Morrison, now enhanced beyond recognition, demonstrated for the volunteers. His body moved with inhuman grace as he lifted a piece of alien armor that weighed 2 tons. His eyes glowed with the same silver light that marked all enhanced humans. "Watch," he said, and suddenly he was gone. One moment he stood in front of them, the next moment he was behind them. He had moved faster than their eyes could follow. "Teleportation?" asked one of the volunteers. "Not exactly," Morrison explained. "I moved through dimensions. The alien technology taught us that space has more than 3 dimensions. We learned to use them. This was how enhanced humans could appear anywhere they wanted. They did not travel through normal space. They stepped through higher dimensions that aliens had discovered but never learned to use properly." The volunteers looked excited. Who would not want such power? "There is one thing you should know," Dr. Kim added. "Once you are enhanced, you cannot go back. You will no longer be entirely human. You will be something new." "What are we called?" asked one volunteer. Doctor Kim smiled. "You will be called Apex, the next step in human evolution." Admiral Kestar read the intelligence reports from his spy satellites with growing despair. The humans were not just winning the war. They were changing it into something unrecognizable. "They're using our own prisoners as test subjects," reported Intelligence Officer Ziegter. "Every collective soldier they capture is studied, dissected, and used to improve their bioweapons." This was true. The humans had built research facilities where they studied alien biology with the same cold efficiency they used for everything else. They were learning how to kill aliens more effectively, how to torture them for information, and how to modify alien technology for human use. "What about their industrial capacity?" Kestar asked. "Beyond anything we've ever seen," Ziegter replied. "They can build ships faster than we can design them." Their automated factories work constantly, building weapons, ships, and enhancement facilities. The humans had discovered that alien technology could be controlled by artificial intelligence. That was far more advanced than anything humans had used before. Their factories ran themselves, building exactly what was needed without any human supervision. But the most terrifying reports came from the battlefields. "Show me the recording from the Kepler-7 attack," Kestar ordered. The screen showed a collective military base on a small planet. It was defended by 5,000 of their best soldiers and protected by energy shields that could stop any known weapon. Then the humans arrived. They did not use ships or vehicles. Instead, they simply appeared inside the base, stepping out of thin air through dimensional portals. There were only 50 of them, but they moved like a force of nature. The enhanced humans, the Apex, fought with weapons that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Energy blades that cut through anything. Armor that could not be damaged by any collective weapon. Most terrifying of all, they seemed to know exactly what their enemies would do before they did it. How are they predicting our tactics? Kestar asked. They're not predicting, Ziegler said quietly. They're reading minds. This was the Apex's newest ability. The network that connected all enhanced humans could also connect to alien minds. They could read thoughts, steal memories, and even control enemy soldiers. In the recording, Kestar watched as collective soldiers turned their weapons on each other, controlled by human mental commands. The battle that should have lasted hours was over in minutes. Our entire garrison was killed or captured, Ziegler reported. The humans took everything useful and left the planet completely stripped of resources. This was happening everywhere. The humans did not just defeat collective forces. They consumed them. Every victory gave them more resources, more technology, and more prisoners to study. But the worst news was still coming. Admiral, said the communications officer, we're receiving a transmission from Zephyr Prime. The screen showed Council Leader Thexan, but he looked older and more tired than Kestar had ever seen him. Admiral Kestar, Thexan said, you are ordered to return to the homeworld immediately. We are abandoning all operations in human space. Abandoning? Kestar could not believe it. We're retreating? We're running, Thexan said bluntly. The humans have sent us a message. They will reach our home world in 6 months. We need every ship to defend Zephyr Prime. The transmission ended, leaving Kestar staring at the screen, in shock. The mighty Zephyrian collective, masters of 12 star systems, were running from a species that had barely reached space 2 years ago. On Earth, General Sarah Chun stood before a massive wall display that showed the galaxy. Red dots marked collective worlds. Blue dots marked human conquests. Green dots marked targets for future attacks. There were a lot of green dots. The collective is pulling back all their forces to defend their home world, reported Admiral Torres. They're abandoning their outer colonies. Sarah nodded. This was exactly what she had expected. How long until our main fleet reaches Zephyr Prime? 6 months, General. The new hyperdrive systems are working perfectly. Sarah looked at the tactical display. The human fleet now numbered over 3,000 ships, each one equipped with weapons that could destroy entire planets. More importantly, each ship carried enhanced humans who could think and fight better than any alien. And our special project? Dr. Webb stepped forward with a smile that would have terrified any alien who saw it. The planet crackers are ready, General. We can destroy entire worlds now. The planet crackers were humanity's ultimate weapon. They used alien technology to cause stars to go supernova, destroying entire solar systems. It was a weapon of genocide, and the humans had built dozens of them. Excellent, Sarah said. Send a message to the Collective Council. 3 years after their easy victory over humanity, Admiral Kestar stood on the bridge of his flagship above Zephyr Prime and watched the end of his civilization approaching. The human fleet filled the void of space, like a swarm of metal predators. 3,000 ships, each one larger and more deadly than anything the Collective had ever built. But the ships were not the most frightening part. The most frightening part was that they moved in perfect unity, as if controlled by a single mind. How many humans are in those ships? Asked Commander Vexau. Her voice shook with fear. Intelligence estimates 50,000 enhanced soldiers, replied the sensor officer, plus unknown numbers of regular crew. 50,000 apex warriors, each one worth 100 normal soldiers. Each one connected to the others through the network that made them think as one massive organism. Kestar had seen what just one apex could do. 50,000 of them was like facing an army of gods. Incoming transmission, announced the communications. Officer. The screen showed General Sarah Chun, but she was no longer entirely human. 3 years of enhancement had changed her into something beyond recognition. Her body was taller and more graceful than any natural human. Her skin had a metallic sheen that caught the light strangely. Her eyes glowed with silver fire that seemed to look right through the screen into Kestar's soul. But the most disturbing thing was her smile. It was perfectly calm, perfectly controlled, and perfectly terrifying. "Admiral Kestar," she said in a voice that carried harmonics no human throat should produce. "We meet at last. What do you want?" Kestar demanded, trying to keep his voice steady. "Want?" Sarah tilted her head like a curious predator. "We don't want anything anymore, Admiral. We've moved beyond wanting. We've moved beyond need. We've moved beyond everything you can understand." Behind her, Kestar could see the bridge of her ship. Apex warriors stood at control stations, their movements perfectly coordinated. They were not just a crew, they were parts of a single organism. "We've come to collect what you owe us," Sarah continued. "You gave us pain, so we learned to remove pain from our existence. You gave us fear, so we learned to remove fear. You gave us death, so we learned to remove death itself." This was true. The Apex no longer died from age or disease. They had modified their bodies with alien technology until they were essentially immortal. Death was now just another problem they had solved. "You also gave us something else, Sarah," sighed. "You gave us a purpose. You showed us that there are species in the galaxy that will attack innocents without provocation. You taught us that such species should not be allowed to exist." The transmission switched to show the human fleet. As Kestar watched in horror, the ships began to transform. Hull plates shifted and reconfigured. Weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments. The ships themselves were alive, built from a fusion of human engineering and alien biotechnology. "Surrender is not an option," Sarah's voice continued. "Escape is not an option. You will face judgment for what you did to our world." The first attack came without warning. Human ships simply appeared inside the collective defensive perimeter, having stepped through dimensional space that their enemies could not even perceive. The battle for Zephyr Prime began with explosions that lit up the planet's sky. But this was not a battle in any traditional sense. It was an execution. The collective had prepared their strongest defenses. Energy shields that could stop planet killing. Weapons. Automated defense systems with millions of targeting computers. Their entire remaining fleet of 2,000 ships. None of it mattered. The human weapons ignored energy shields, passing through them like they were not there. The targeting computers could not lock onto enemies that moved through higher dimensions. The collective ships exploded one by one as human vessels appeared beside them and fired weapons that unmade matter at the quantum level. Admiral Kestar watched his fleet die in minutes. Not hours, not even tens of minutes. Just minutes. All ships retreat to the planet's surface. He ordered desperately, but retreat was impossible. Human ships had surrounded the entire star system. There was nowhere to run. On the surface of Zephyr Prime, Council Leader Vexan stood in the Great Council Chamber, surrounded by the most powerful beings in collective society. Through the crystal dome above them, they could see human ships descending like falling stars. "How did we lose so completely?" asked Council Member Izara. "We had superior numbers, superior technology, superior position. We lost because we never understood what we were fighting," Vexan replied. He was looking at data screens that showed impossible things. "Look at these readings. The humans are not using our technology anymore. They've created something entirely new." This was the truth that the collective had been too proud to see. Humans had not just copied alien technology. They had improved it beyond recognition, then combined it with their own innovations to create science that transcended anything the galaxy had ever seen. The first human soldiers appeared in the council chamber without warning, stepping through dimensional portals that opened in empty air. They were apex warriors, but even more changed than before. Their bodies seemed to shift between solid matter and energy. Their eyes held the cold light of stars. The lead figure removed her helmet, revealing the face of General Sarah Chun, but she was no longer the human who had hidden in the ruins of Geneva 3 years ago. She was something new, something that had evolved beyond the need for flesh and bone. "Council Leader Thexan," she said, her voice echoing strangely in the chamber. "You are the one who ordered the attack on Earth." "Yes," Thexan said. There was no point in lying to beings who could read minds. "We thought you were a primitive species that could be easily conquered." "Primitive," Sarah repeated, as if tasting the word. "You saw our simple tools and assumed we were simple beings. You made the same mistake that every extinct species has made. You confused technology with intelligence." She gestured to her fellow Apex. "We did not need advanced weapons to be dangerous. We only needed a reason to become dangerous. You gave use that reason. What do you want from us?" Thexan asked. "From you? Nothing," Sarah replied. "You cannot give us anything we cannot take. You cannot teach us anything we have not already learned. You cannot threaten us with anything we have not already overcome." She walked closer to the council table. Where her feet touched the floor, the crystal began to change, becoming something that looked alive. "We are here to ensure that what you did to Earth never happens again. To anyone. Ever." "You mean to kill us all?" Councilmember Isara said. "Kill?" Sarah looked genuinely puzzled. "Death is such a simple concept. We have moved beyond simple concepts." The truth was more terrible than death. The humans had developed technology that could rewrite a being's consciousness. It could take away aggression, remove the desire to conquer, eliminate the ability to harm others. They could turn an entire species into peaceful gardeners who would never again threaten anyone. "You will live," Sarah explained, "but you will no longer be capable of the thoughts that led you to attack us. We are going to edit your minds, remove the dangerous parts, and leave you with lives of simple contentment." This was worse than death to a proud species like the Collective. To have their very thoughts controlled, their personalities rewritten, their entire civilization turned into something harmless and gentle. "You cannot do this," Thexan protested. "We are a free species. Freedom is what you took from the billions of humans you killed," Sarah replied. "Freedom is what you would have taken from every species you conquered after us. We are simply ensuring that you can never take anyone's freedom again." The process began immediately. Human technology filled the air with invisible energies that reached into the minds of every collective citizen on the planet. One by one, they stopped being the aggressive conquerors they had always been and became something new, something peaceful, admirable. Kestar felt the change happening to his own mind. The anger that had driven him for so many years simply disappeared. The desire to fight and conquer faded away like a bad dream. Instead, he found himself thinking about growing flowers. It should have been horrifying, but it was not. The humans had removed his ability to feel horror about the change. They had left him only with the capacity for contentment and peaceful thoughts. As the mental editing spread across the planet, Sarah Chun stood in the council chamber and watched the end of the Zephyrian Collective as a military power. They would live, but they would never again threaten anyone. "Is it over?" asked one of her fellow Apex. "For them, yes," Sarah replied. "But there are other species in the galaxy, other civilizations that might make the same mistake the Collective made." She looked up through the crystal dome at the stars. Somewhere out there were thousands of other worlds, other species that might one day decide that humanity looked weak and vulnerable. They would all learn the same lesson the Collective had learned. "We will visit them all," Sarah decided. Every aggressive species, every potential threat, every civilization that believes in conquest and domination. We will teach them the same lesson we taught here. Her fellow Apex nodded in understanding. They had become something beyond human, something that existed to ensure that the innocent would never again suffer what humanity had suffered.